Oh my gosh, you're here!
Welcome to My Chatbot Life, where chatbot marketers share high-converting strategies in this new conversational marketplace. Each week, MKJ introduces you to bot builders who are just like you, a little techie, a little markety, and a whole lot of geeky. Buckle up as Chatbot Mom enjoys another journey into My Chatbot Life.
All right, bot buddies, hello. Welcome back to the conversation. MKJ here, and I get to introduce you to someone who's basically has gone through a metamorphosis, or whatever word I want to use, has basically transformed his life in chatbots from SMS to social to regular website. Transformation is what this is about. So let me introduce you to Eric Cades, and he is the founder of Text Chat. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super psyched to talk about chatbots. It's my life. So,
I think
it's a better podcast for sure.
I think it's my life too. When the title is My Chatbot Life, it absolutely is. And there was only one time at the end of 2020 that I actually considered quitting this whole world and just going off and trying to find something else. I don't know anything else.
No.
Yeah, it really was a tough
frustrating.
time.
It can be very frustrating.
It was a really tough time. And, change happens. And I had just almost reached my limit with the things that were happening. And it really came from a place of my clients' bots are being shut down right and left for no reason whatsoever. Their Facebook pages are being restricted. Their ability to communicate with their audience is being hampered and made more difficult. I'm done with this. I'm done with trying to help people do these incredible things, and roadblocks just keep being put up in my way and my clients' way, and they're losing money. Their customers are not able to get what they need, and it just became so disheartening, really. And I had reached that place, and luckily, I have an incredible community of students and mentees and mentors who immediately when I thought, I just don't want to do this anymore, immediately I thought, how am I going to tell them that? How am I going to just go, I can't do this anymore? That is an absolute cop-out, MKJ. What the heck are you doing? Why in the world are you so focused on your boo-hoo attitude? Get over yourself, get back in that ring, and just keep fighting.
Yeah, I call those things hurdles in life, and we all have them, and there's personal ones and business ones, and you just got to get over them. And I can't count how many mistakes I've made in my life, and I'm going to make a lot more, but just try and fail forward. That's the best you can do, is just keep moving forward, and eventually you get there.
Yeah. So Eric, let's start with that. Before Text Chat, before any chatbot that you came into, what were you doing for a job before all this chatbot world decided to invade you?
Well, I told you a second before the podcast started, it all started with a candy store in my basement when I was 12 years old, and then went on to the lawn mowing business and car detailing business. So I've been a born entrepreneur my whole life. It's just in my blood. My mom owned the flower store for 25 years. My dad sold insurance and had his own insurance agency, and just couldn't, step outside that mold. Whenever I tried to go into the corporate world, it just never worked for me. I always wanted to fix something or break something that I saw. And, I won't go too in depth, but about 20 years ago, I fell into the contact center business. Call center, it was the call center business at that time. Now it's, we're omni-channel. We answer with live humans, both through Facebook Messenger and SMS and live chat on websites, and also answer voice calls. I still have a business called JetSpring that is a at-home agent contact center. And really, how I got into chatbots, the evolution of all this was I had built a business that was based on live humans answering live chats. And yet 2012, 13, 14, I started hearing about these things called chatbots. And I was like, oh my God, are these going to put my live agents out of business someday. And after selling one of the businesses I was involved in 2016, I decided to head in, dive in head first and start building a chatbot platform. And here I am today.
Wow. So it actually came from the realization that what you were doing with humans involved has a possibility of being not completely replaced, but in many senses automated. And you were like, I got to be part of that because I already know. I mean, basically, you would be what we call a subject matter expert, right? You understood how
Yeah.
these conversations happened. This customer service was delivered from a human standpoint. So you could obviously replicate that in a chatbot once the automation started, right?
Yeah, millions and millions and millions of live chat conversations with humans every year, and definitely brought a lot of that knowledge to how I wanted to build a chatbot platform. And, I've learned so much over the last few years. I think lots of little tidbits that I can certainly share, that, it constantly evolves, and I continue to get to a better and better place. And there's just so much value to be driven from chatbots and using chatbots to connect humans. That's a really important part of chatbots in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, definitely. So let's kind of start with, since if you've been in the chatbot world as early as, say, I mean, I know Facebook didn't open up their API for chatbots until April of 2016, and then companies like ManyChat and ChatFuel that do more marketing-based chatbots on the Messenger platform started, say, November of 2016. And then I jumped into I jumped on this rocket ship in January of 2017. So if you've been, before Facebook opened their API, if you've been looking at chatbots and building and playing around with chatbots since before then you've seen lots of changes. So how have you gone from that beginning MVP, so to speak, right? That minimum viable product that just basically has a conversation. It may look stilted, it may not be very comfortable, it may be robotic, but it's happening. How do you handle the changes from that to what we can do now, where I use a software called conversion.ai that basically helps me write any kind of copy, website copy, chatbot copy, emails, Facebook ads, and it's done with AI, with what they've named Jarvis. And so that Jarvis can go help me actually write exactly what I want to write, and it's AI. So how do you go from that rudimentary chatbot to now using AI to have conversations? How do you handle that kind of change in such a short period of time?
It's a great question. And I think the only way I handled the change was constantly interacting with my clients and learning by making mistakes. That's the only way you can handle that change, is to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And, I think in a weird way, AI kind of confuses the whole chatbot conversation a little bit, because you had mentioned automation, and there's a lot of automation that can be done to make people's lives more convenient and to help people get to places quicker than even involving AI. And then there are other times where it makes sense to use AI. And then other times it's like, you know what, that's got to go to a human being. That's the only person that is going to be able to answer that question. So I think what I do when we build a chatbot is we try and focus on customer success. What does success look like to the customer? And that helps us decide which tool in the chatbot toolkit that we want to use. Is this a place to use AI? Is this a place to use automation? Or is this a place to transfer to a human being? And I can give you a couple examples if you'd like to hear them, just one simple one. So we build higher education chatbots for some of our customers in our other company. And, there are certain things like updating a student's ID and password to log into the student portal, and they're coming on the website. Well, they don't need to talk to a person to do that. We can ask a few automated questions and have them push a couple buttons. In a matter of milliseconds, we can have them re-updating their password, as opposed to how inefficient that would be if they had to wait on hold till a human picked it up, and et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, there are, if it's a new student who has a very sophisticated, question about their transfer credits, that no matter how much you plan and how much you train that chatbot, that's going to be, if it's a new student that's never gone to college before, that they get the hand holding of a human being. But the chatbot can help get the person in touch with that human much faster than if the person had called in and was put on hold and waited and maybe never got an answer. Yeah. Someone was going to get back to them. And then there's the AI side of it, where using natural language processing and machine learning, which are kind of the two underlying technologies of AI chatbots. And what I have found that I don't want to do ever is put a potential customer, one of my clients' customers, in what I call wrong answer hell. And so the technology is constantly evolving. Unless you're committed to having someone monitor if you're using AI, natural language processing, and machine learning, actually having a human monitor the chatbot and the conversations literally on a daily basis to update it, then you're going to end up with a bad experience for your customers. So, there's really all these different facets that you have to decide of whether human, automation, or AI.
Yeah. And then, so take me through, so I know if you've worked at all with Facebook Messenger, which is the majority of the people listening to this probably built bots with, again, the programs that I mentioned before. And we've gone through crazy changes. I mean, I have no qualms about calling Facebook schizophrenic, because they absolutely are schizophrenic.
They are. I know plenty of people that have been locked out for no reason at all that they can figure out, and they're not allowed back on.
Yeah. And so, in that sense, dealing with that kind of an environment when we have no idea what's going to happen next. We think we're following all the rules. We think we are doing everything good, and we're doing it the way we're supposed to. But then all of a sudden, boom, we get a message, after we've had a bot deployed that's bringing people through to a webinar, and we've followed all the rules. And then all of a sudden, 10 months into this, the client's making great money, and we're solving problems for people, and people are getting the solution that they want. Then all of a sudden, done. You're restricted. You're not following community standards. Like, what the heck does that mean? So, we go through those kinds of changes where all of a sudden brakes just stop. We're stopped to a halt. We cannot do anything. And one of the best examples I can give that I know people, if you've listened to this show on a regular basis, you've heard me tell before, which is the God Quotes bot that I helped build. And when I first took over this bot, it was, I think, 12,000 subscribers in Messenger. And we grew it to 2.2 million subscribers. And all we were doing was providing daily prayer or daily inspiration. And this was at the time when it was legal for us to do that, right? We could send a daily message every day. We were not selling anything. We didn't even collect emails. We weren't even doing it. It was just, here is your daily inspiration. And so I had flows built for, I think, about almost a little over 100 days of just daily prayers. And then it would start over and remix the pot, and then start sending the same inspirations, but in a different order.
Sure.
So we had that bot, and it was incredible. And people were, the conversation you can imagine with 2.2 million subscribers.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
How many conversations we were having. And then all of a sudden, boom, one day I wake up and Facebook has shut us down. And I have to watch people sending messages to my bot that I cannot even respond to. I can't say a word. And they're sending messages saying, where did you go? My son is in the hospital, and I use your daily inspiration to get up the strength to walk into his hospital room.
Heartbreaking.
My husband left me, and I use your daily prayer to get out of bed every day. Where did you go?
Sure.
That was just, I couldn't believe it. It really hit my heart, right?
Yeah.
So we have to deal with these kinds of changes. How do you deal with that? How do you handle sitting with that feeling that you're trying to help your customers and you can't, and they're reaching out for you, and being able to get over that and then just get back to business and try and find another solution?
I think, to the point of that chatbot itself, you have to keep the faith. You have to just figure out that you just have to say, God help me, something is going to happen where this is going to work out, and keep moving forward. I really, there's no magic trick or anything like that. When something is outside of your control, you just have to push forward. You have to obviously reach out to Facebook and, figure out what's going on here, as I'm sure you did, and et cetera, et cetera. And look, when you're dealing with a third party like Facebook, who we all know really is in control, and I know how people can just be locked out of things on Facebook. It's extremely frustrating, but chatbots aren't going anywhere. Facebook chatbots aren't going anywhere. They're extremely effective. They're extremely helpful to people. And look, that is life. We're just going to have these hurdles that we just have to get over. And having a negative attitude is never going to help you get over that hurdle. And throughout my life, and I mentioned to you, I lost my mom at a young age to ALS, and saw how, really, she was lucky to wake up every day that she was alive when she had ALS. And we all are lucky to wake up every day. And it's like, in some ways I try and look at those types of situations for strength and say, okay, this is in health related. This is business related.
Yeah.
And, if all these people around this world are suffering, what they're going through is so minuscule compared to a chatbot being shut down.
Yeah.
All right, I got to move forward. Period. Yeah. Like, look what they're going through. I got to move forward. This is small compared to that.
Yes. This is not life or death. I mean, I went through another situation, and the more, you don't have to go through a hellish life in order to understand that that this is minuscule. You do, however, need to open your eyes and observe others around you, and observe the world that's happening around you, and get out of yourself, right? That, like I said in the beginning, I had to get at, what the heck am I doing? Get over yourself and pick up and keep moving. I've done that when I broke my legs. I broke both my legs when I was 8 months pregnant with my second son.
Sorry.
I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't take a bath. I couldn't make a meal. I couldn't get to the kitchen. It was just, and I went into that, and I dove straight into that pity pot. And then to get myself out of that, I said to myself, all right, think about this. You are alive. You live in a very nice house, decent house in California, one of the most beautiful places in the world to live. And you have an amazingly loving husband, and you have a 3-year-old son, and you are free to do what you want. You are not living in Iran.
Right.
You're not a woman living in Iran or any other place where you might be oppressed, truly oppressed. Deal with it. Get over it. This is not permanent. You're going to be okay.
And I have one good thing to add. I think, anything you're doing in business should be more than about making money.
Yes.
And, when you can change your mindset into, I'm doing something for the world here, and stop thinking about me and my money, that's what gets you over those challenges. And, my calling with chatbots is to save our clients and their customers time. And that's a pretty high barrier for me, because my mom didn't have time, and it's our only non-renewable resource. So if I can save someone time, then I'm adding to the greater good of the world. And that helps me get over, oh my God, Facebook just shut us down. What do we do?
Yes. So all right. So bot buddies listening in the audience, maybe let's say you've lived a pretty cushy life, right? Cushy in the sense that you really haven't had any major issues. I've just um, talked about a couple of mine, right? Just one of
Yeah,
them personally. I could talk about all kinds of other personal things, but let's say you've lived a pretty cushy life. You went to a decent school, got an education, you went to college, you got a good job, you're kind of driving to work, or you have a family, your parents treated you decently, all these wonderful things. How does a person who really hasn't had to overcome a lot of that kind of adversity, that some major, and there's differing degrees of adversity,
yeah,
right? I mean, I'm not going to at all assume anything I've experienced is what someone in another country with
right.
much less freedom than I have has experienced. I would never do that. But they still haven't really had to overcome a lot of things. Where do you dig? How do you find that solution? Because saving time because your mother didn't have any is a very compelling daily reason to get up and do what you do.
Absolutely. That's why I get up. I had business meetings to 9:30 last night, and I was exhausted this morning, and I had to get up and have my workout in the morning, and I didn't want to do it, but I got up this morning and I worked out, and that got me over that hurdle. I would say, I can't necessarily relate to someone who had a cushy life, because in my early career, I was living on a floor in LA for 18 months and, got past that stage of my life. I think, we all just need to look around and be self-aware and kind of say, look at this situation in light of other situations that are even going on in the world. If something hasn't happened to you personally, just kind of, try and look at the relative nature of what your struggle is compared to other struggles. And like I said, that underlying mission, really kind of helps you get there. And conversely, I know a lot of people who have lived those cushy lives and, were born with trust funds and things like that. And I find that, in some ways they're at a disadvantage because they haven't had those struggles. And the smallest thing seems big to really, really big to them. So, I'm kind of thankful I've had so many struggles. And honestly, my mom lived with ALS for 8.5 years. She lived on a feeding tube and a ventilator for the better part of 6.5 years. And I can't say that there wasn't a positive thing that came out of that situation, which was my appreciation for life.
Yes.
Without going through that, I would not have this heightened appreciation that just because I'm here speaking with you and able to do so, that I need to be thankful and grateful. And I think if we look inside ourselves and be thankful and grateful for what we do have, it can help you get through anything.
Amen, amen, amen. All right, so bot buddies, I'm just going to ask you to do one thing, and right now, dig in and dig and look at your life. I know you have had to overcome something, even if it's a situation where I mean, all of us have had situations where we think we did our best work in school, let's say, and the teacher gave us an F or gave us a D or didn't give us what we thought we should have. And we had to figure out a way to stay confident in ourselves and be able to continue on and still give the best we could in the next assignment or whatever we're talking about. So even something like that doesn't obviously compare to ALS or, living in a third world country or anything like that. You can dig deep. You can find something you've had to overcome, and you can use that as fuel, because that's really what life is about. It's the fuel you use to improve your life. And we all have to do that. In one way or another, we have to find that fuel, because it is just like you heard Eric talk about, that burning desire to help people save time comes from a place that really was a burning desire, because he saw that my desire to overcome obstacles and get out of thinking just of myself and look at others around me came from that place that I'd never been depressed before in my life. I am a type A, go get it, let's get this done kind of person. So when I was stopped in my tracks, sitting on the couch, unable to do anything for myself, that I would automatically just take for granted, that I could clean the house when I wanted to, that I could go and make a meal when I wanted to, that I could play with my son whenever I wanted to. I was stopped in my tracks, let alone business and make money. I was the breadwinner of my family at the time.
Yeah.
So to just have that stopped and slapped in the face with that was really difficult. And I was able to take that burning desire and move forward with it and overcome whatever other issues that I was facing. And this is a constant battle. This doesn't all of a sudden, oh, life is wonderful, I never have to think about it again. We constantly have to remind ourselves of these things, because I'm sure sometime in the future, Eric is going to have either a different company or a new new version of this company. And there will have to be a new, morphing of this whole idea of why you get up every day. And that's called life.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we get to the end of your life, Eric, and someone is going to look back at this incredible journey that you've taken, and they're going to write your biography. What would you say the title of that biography would be?
It's going to have to be Giving People Time would be the name of the book. And I really learned through chatbots that was my calling in life, to use technology to give people time. And that's how I want to be remembered. They can forget about my contact center business and my candy store, but this is what I want my legacy to be, that I was all about making people's lives more efficient using technology.
And so has anyone talked to you about what they do with their time that they save because of you and what you do? I mean, do you have anything around the office that basically is an inspiration for the way that people now are able to use that extra time?
Well, I see the results of, they used our platform to do X. They used our platform to be lying in bed and answer someone on their website, and made a $300,000 sale because they could be laying in bed watching their Sunday night TV and still make a giant sale. So, I get a lot of anecdotes weekly of our clients who, and this was especially prevalent during COVID, we had gone out and I went to some of our local business communities and said, look, I built this chatbot platform. This can help local businesses that don't have e-commerce presences. I'll give it to them for free until we're out of COVID. And I had people, texting me, I'm saving their business because they didn't have e-commerce, but because they put our chatbot on their website, they were able to talk to their website visitors and still stay in business. So there's been a lot of anecdotes like that along the way, and I continue to hear them. And, that's what keeps us going. It really does.
Would you say that probably the number one thing that you can help people create in their life with this additional time is peace of mind?
It is. I don't know if everyone knows this that's listening, but it's a fact. It's been studied. When you're making a purchase, you have anxiety. Should I buy it? Do I trust this vendor? Blah, blah, blah. And the fact that we make it easy for those people to get their questions answered really hits home on exactly what you're saying. And, it makes me feel great because I know it happens every day.
Yeah, it is. It is very much even though we may not think of it because we use online ordering so much, and we just, most of us still think about what we purchase. I mean, it's still, it's a limited amount of money that we all have to spend. But yeah, that anxiety is lessened by making this experience easier and faster.
Or, another instance, like by being able to respond immediately, as opposed to that person hoping they're going to get an email back or, which they may never get, satisfying that anxiety right away using technology that's what it's for. It's not to replace humans. It's to help humans.
Yes, I agree 100%. All right. So time definitely is the
Giving
unifying
people
factor.
time will be the name of my
Yep, that's it. And then with that, then who would you say would write that biography for you?
It would definitely be my brother. I have two older brothers and a younger sister. So it would be one of my brothers who is a marketing genius, has always been kind of a fan of mine. He's gone more of the corporate route and has been very, very successful in his career, but has always supported me in my entrepreneurial endeavors and been positive and there for me. So he knows the struggles. And then my sister, who is a certified health coach, who I have talked about, how this is my mission to use this technology to save people time and give people better lives. And that's everything she's about too. So they, one knows kind of the tech and the marketing side of it, and the other knows kind of more of the human side of it. And they would be the perfect two people to write the book. My brother Joel, my sister Liz.
Yay. And so if they look back on Eric's life, and when we're toward the end of it, they're going to look back on your life, and what would they say is the quote that represents the way you lived your life?
I would say he worked tirelessly to achieve his goals.
Absolutely. Every day we wake up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think if there's ever a time that I would retire, I don't know. My father worked till he was 75. I'll always be involved in business because what makes me get up is that challenge. Yeah. And I want to say something, to the part of like when Facebook shut your chatbot down.
Yeah.
Everyone who is in this chatbot community and builds chatbots, we have to realize we're still in the early innings of the chatbot game. We've made a decision to get into something that we all know 10 from 20 years from now is going to be way beyond what we ever could have dreamed of. And we're in the early innings, so we're lucky. And we're those early adopters that are creating the path for the rest of the world. So with that always comes challenges, and it's just part of it. Deal with it and move forward.
Eric, I agree 100%. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And so, yes, we are absolutely at the forefront. It's really not leading edge. It really is, depending on where you're going and what you're diving into, it could be absolute bleeding edge. But I got to say, through this whole process of getting bots shut down or not, or restricted, or doing all those kinds of things, the number one thing I am grateful for, besides my own tenacity, my own perseverance, is the community. Yeah. So when that God quote spot got shut down, all I had to do was go out to my community and say, guys, I cannot get a hold of anybody. Does anybody have a solution? Does anybody have a line to Facebook for me to find out what the heck is going on here? And I found one of my bot buddies was at a conference with Facebook, and he got me on a call right then with a representative of Facebook.
Amazing. So there you go. I mean, you have to have the business community.
That's it. If you have people around you, if you are absolutely building relationships with people, not just making money,
right? And
you absolutely care and surround yourself with people who are way smarter than yourself, which is thankfully what I'm able to do. Right. You will get through it. It's okay. Change is going to happen. And believe me, this is what makes it exciting to me, to be honest. Of course, when it happened in October,
it didn't feel so election, good then, but
right before the election,
feelings either. Tragedy happens, feel it. You're a human being, but know that you got to get back on the proverbial saddle and move forward.
Yeah, I've been thrown from horses a number of times myself. So yes, I've got to get back on, definitely. I have concussions, blah, blah, blah. So thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate you sharing this with us. Text chat is definitely something that sounds like it came from a need, and it is absolutely satisfying a need. And I really appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. And I can't wait to chat again. I have a feeling we'll have to have you back on the show to
Sounds great, and you as well. And grateful for you having me. Love talking about chatbots. Anytime I'd come back.
Thanks for listening to the My Chatbot Life podcast. To watch this video chat, visit mychatbotlife.com and get all the rocket boosters you need for your own chatbot success.